Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Good evening. I was bored, so welcome. What do we have before us? What do we have here? Um, I am happy. It is a little late, but I was thinking like I'm a bit bored. It's the weekends, and I wanted to do something productive and just do something instead of playing video games and just talk about video games. Something different. I got my tea, my fresh tea. This is something I really love to bring, uh, something I really love to drink. I have another tier list for you guys right here. Today, we'll be looking at a Hollow Knight tier list. If you are not familiar with Hollow Knight, you probably did not click on this video because it's a very specific games, and I'm talking about the bosses right now. So yeah, that's a difference. I found this tier list that has all the bosses on it, including the DLC bosses. So that's nice for me. Yeah, to really rank them on. Yeah, I'll just be ranking them on different choices because it's not difficulty. I won't rank them on difficulty only. I will rank them on difficulty level, but not a higher difficulty does not mean it's a higher tier. It's just the difficulty, has to be right for the moment in that game. And I think this game has a pretty solid, does that pretty well. So it's very interesting to look at that. At the point of the game that you fight them in, are they like on a very challenging difficulty, but not too hard that it's unfair? That, yeah, I think that speaks for itself. Yeah, let's just get into it. It's just my personal opinion about what bosses I love most, and the presentation and the place they're in, and just the overall experience I have had with them, especially looking at my first playthrough. I think that's the most amazing thing, because Hollow Knight, I have played this game so much that I've speedrun it. I have done all sorts of stuff with it. I got all the achievements except for the last one, and that is beating the game in with all the bosses, the pantheon of Hollow Nest. I just can't win that stupid ass. Oh, I hate it. I think a lot of people that are watching this have the same feeling about that stupid achievement. But anyways, yeah, that's the ultimate challenge, man. But anyway, I am here, and we'll do it. I try to keep it short, but I'm already 3 minutes in, and I have not even put one on the tier list so far. So let's start. At first, we have the Grossmother. I will put this in D tier. I think it's pretty easy. I didn't even know it was a boss. I am not joking. I didn't know it was a boss until like after a while. So the first playthrough I beat it, it was just like I thought it was just a bigger enemy, and after a while it was just. And when I went to the God Home, it was labeled as a boss. So like, what? Okay, so D tier. It wasn't that difficult. I think it's fun when he explodes and all the small ones come out, but that's about it. Very simple boss. The False Knight. I think that's an A tier, definitely an A tier. Why? Because first boss. I think overall in presentation, it scares the shit out of you when you realize after a while it's really slow and it's kind of not that hard, but the presentation is flawless. It's amazing. That's definitely S tier. Difficulty, it's not that difficult, but that's not the point. It is difficult enough for a first boss, and I think I died a few times on my first playthrough, and I was like, damn, this game is not something easy. it's a challenging game. If this is the first boss and the first level, well, yeah, definitely an A tier. Yeah, it's amazing. I loved it the first time around when I beat it. The Field Champion is the harder variant of the False Knight. One of the most difficult of the harder versions of and the dream bosses, like the second phase kind of vibes. I would rate it in B tier because discovering it, I discovered it quite late. So discovering it when you have all things and a polished nail upgrade, and I don't know. It whipped my ass a few times, and it does double damage. So it was a good fight, but there was a certain gimmick to it. It's like when he jumps, you dash under it, and you use the quick slash a few times, and then wait for him to do a jump attack, and just jump over the rest of his attacks. It's kind of when you know what to do. It's not that hard, and you can just dream nail him when he staggers. Until you have like full souls again. So a Field Champion, yeah, it's more of a gimmick. It's not hard to beat once you know what to do, but it will slap you a lot of times before that. The Brooding Malwag, man, I think a D tier as well. Maybe low C tier. I think a low C tier. Because it has a few more attacks than the Grossmother. It has more attacks than the Grossmother, and it's. I think the presentation is kind of nice. You just go deeper and deeper in the first area, and then you come across like one alive Brooding Malwag who's just very aggressive and stuff. And I don't know. I kind of, my first impression of this boss was kind of nice, and yeah. I think the area he's in is nice, that you come back to the Forgotten Crossroads, and you have the Mantis Claw, and then you are faced with a boss to get extra goodies. For exploration purposes, it serves really well. As a boss in itself, I discovered it quite early, so it was, yeah, I didn't have the the Shade Cloak. I didn't have, so that makes a huge difference. So you need to dash over him or under him, and just overall, I don't know. It isn't the best boss ever. It's kind of a pushover, but still, it's better than like the Grossmother and the Vengefly King. Let's get into that. It's also, I think, is even worse than the Grossmother. Jump, hit it on behind. That's it. It gets a few points from the F tier because it was eating Zote, and I think that's pretty funny. But overall, the Vengefly King is just a bigger Vengefly that you have to just jump over. It has 2 attacks, and it's summoning small Vengeflies or just going at it. So definitely lower than the Grossmother. The Grossmother at least had 2 attacks, and especially in the Pantheon of Hallownest, you can fall in the spikes, and with the Vengefly King you battle 2, so that's not that. The Master Charger is F tier. Come on. The Master Charger is the most boring fight of the game, in my opinion. First time I discovered it, I did not go to that route until I was like halfway point, like at the halfway point. So I beat it, like I didn't even know what the fuck happened, and then I beat the boss, and it was like, yo, you beat the boss, good job. And that's it. So I don't know. The Hornet, how do you? I don't know. This is the first Hornet fight. I don't know how you pronounce that. I cannot read it. But so the first Hornet fight is, in my opinion, an S tier. It's such a challenge, but it's a challenge because you're getting used to the game still. But it's challenging enough to frustrate you, but it's not too hard to give up, And I think it's perfect. I think it's a perfect fight for an early game boss. You've just beaten the first boss. You've ran through the tutorial area. Let's just say it's a tutorial area, right? And Oh, you follow her through green path, this new area, this actually more green area, a less dead area, more alive area, and you fight a faster, a more telegraphed kind of boss with a lot of different attacks. With it catches you off guard on the first playthrough, and I think the music is also such a perfect score for this fight. Uh, yeah, if you've never played with music on, definitely do that. The whole atmosphere gets so much better when you have the music of Hornet playing during this fight. And lore wise, also it's such an amazing character overall. The Hornet, the yeah. I think there's gonna be a lot of S tiers as well, guys, but I will rank them as well on. This is gonna be the highest, and this is gonna be the lowest, right? So yeah. So the Hornet first fight, I loved it. It was amazing. And after that, you get the dash, and then the game really picks up. Then the game really starts for me, Now, playing it now, the Hornet fight is no big deal. It's so easy. But the first time, and when I'm talking about the first time, man, that is something different. No eyes. Maybe this is going to be a bit of a controversial one, but I will rank it pretty high. I really loved the lore. It's dark. It's sad. The music. It's creepy. It's kind of a chase game, and it's not really the most. That's why it's a bit lower on the ranking. Then all the lore wise would have been an S tier, but I don't know. It's such an sad fight, and of all the dream bosses, this is definitely my favorite because this one really just the location you fight her in is like very gray and very dark. You need a lamp to get in there. So you're kind of visiting a place that hasn't been visited in a long time. And that's where you meet her for the first time. And everything just screams, take her out of her misery, And I think in my experience, I helped her move on to a better place than be stuck in this painful, wretched place that you fight her in. The music is amazing. Yeah, it's an overall really good, really solid boss fight. So yeah, let's keep her there. I think that's good. Oh God, Umu. Umu. I think is very boring. It's going to be, I think, just above Gross Mother, especially because it's a boss that you fight before you find one of the dreamers, and that should have been a better boss. It's just a waiting game and dodging game until and a bit of RNG until And in the Hollow Knight, the Pantheons is not that much better. It's a bit faster, but it kind of disappointed me a bit because the other two fights are or the other places that you find the dreamers in. The one is the Watcher Knights, and we'll get to that later, but that's an amazing fight. And the other one is like deep in the nests with it's not really boss fight that you had before, but it's like this place that you get trapped in and you have to navigate through. I think this is I think this is not really a solid fight for before you find the dreamer. Yeah. The location that leads up to it's all a bit the same. I think it's one of the weaker places overall in the game. So maybe that doesn't help with my opinion, but yeah, it's a high DT for me. It's better than the Vengeful King or Grossmother in forms of presentation, in forms of fun I've had with the fight. But yeah, it's an easy fight as well. I hoped it to be a bit harder. Elder Who, I fucking hate this guy. I think this is the low. I hate this motherfucker because my first Steel Soul playthrough, he smacked my ass. He was the one that killed me. In my second one, I didn't even beat him, I think. Oh no, I needed to beat it 100%. I did that. So I beat him after I got like really buff. And I got the Shade Cloak. So I just hate it. It's just I hate it when there is an attack when he disappears and you have to wait until he gets back, so you can't like do it fast, or it's not a well pace. There's no nice pace to it because you have to wait a lot of times for a very easy to dodge attack, especially when you have to Shade Cloak. So, and that's the one of the two attacks that he has. The other one is just smacking shit down to the ground, and that's it. And he just flies around being an asshole, and I hate you, and let's move on. I don't want to talk about you anymore. Elder Who, I don't know. Mantis Lords, high A tier. This is really good. I battled them a bit late. I did not know you could proceed even further when you get the Mantis Claw, so I battled them quite late, so I beat them first try, I think. So the challenge wasn't there. I've challenged them once before when I didn't have a new upgrade, and that's the moment you have to battle them, because then it's really tense. Still, it was tense though when I fought them, and especially the Sisters of Battle that's later. But overall, the music is amazing. When you battle the first one, you're like, okay, it's not gonna be 3 waves of one enemy, right? There's gotta be a twist to it. And then the second two jump in to finish the job, and the pace picks up, and you have to focus on 2 enemies at once. A lot of different attacks, but not hard to dodge attacks, but you gotta learn them. And I just love it, but especially the music gets them really higher up. The music behind this fight is just the best. It's the best. This music is I think one of my favorite tracks of the whole game. So the Mantis Lords, definitely A tier, high A tier. Maybe I will get it back to an S tier. I don't know. We'll see. The Soul Knight, or how do you call it? Soul Warrior. I thought this was an enemy as well, so, but it was a bit more challenging than. I like this more than I like it more than Vengeful King, because it can shoot stuff at you, and it was a bit more challenging. And especially, I wasn't that good at the game the first playthrough, so this guy actually beat my ass. And I think it's better than Vengeful King, even in Grossmother, I think, yeah. Because it's more faster paced, and he switches attacks depending on, where you're standing. And he can just teleport above you and just slap you in the face. I gotta check something real quick. Yeah, it teleports above you, and I think that's a nice touch to it. It has 3 different attacks, which is more than these 2. But it was more of an enemy than a boss, so. The Soul Master, oh my god, I will rate this a high A tier. Yeah, above Mantis Lords? I don't know. That's a hard choice for me. That's a really hard choice for me. It's higher than the Mantis Lords for me. This one actually made me stop the game for a bit, because I didn't really get the game yet, and he was beating my ass too much, and I really didn't know how to beat him. So, yeah, it really fucked me up. I already had a lot of things. I even had the Dream Nail already, so I already got to like the Crystal Caves and stuff. I don't know how, but I remember that I had it, so I was like pretty late I battled him, and I just couldn't beat him. I didn't know why. Now I beat him with my eyes closed, but it was something about this boss that I'd never really experienced this kind of gameplay before. So I was always in the 3D gaming or shooter gaming or RPG gaming, whatever, and not really Metroidvanias. I never really played them, and especially not combat based. So this was my learning curve, but it really has a place in my heart. When I see it, I still get threatened or something, and I really remember the fear that brings the Soul Master towards me. I think it's the difficulty is perfect for the place that it's at. I was just not ready. The intro to this fight. This one is the best intro to the fight. He's just sitting at the back. You go through the sanctum, and the sanctum is a weird place with all these dead floating soul creatures, and it's the music there is really like orchestra, and it's very weird. And then suddenly he is the king of this whole place, and he has a burial ground of people he sucked the living shit out of to become this great master, It's really dark, and I love it. The whole atmosphere of this fight and the power that this guy wanted was amazing, and the fight itself is good, especially for that place in the game. Later it becomes a bit of a pushover because you're used to faster paced bosses. Look at how many bosses there are. It's an early game boss, but that gets better with the Tyrant, and the Tyrant is gonna get a rate higher than the Master, just because I could beat him directly after I beat the Soul Master, and I tried it, and then I realized, damn, this is a hard fight. This is a really hard fight. So, this fight just really takes everything of this. I think it's gonna go low S tier because it takes everything from the Soul Master's fight and makes it just 10 times better. And I love the Soul Master fight so much. And then it just gets faster. It actually becomes the Soul Master fights that you want to play when you're better at the game. He has a huge health bar. Has more faster attacks. You can't really hit him, especially when you're at the right place. He just teleports out of nowhere to everywhere, but still it feels fair. You feel so good at the game when you're fighting this powered beef mode of a Soul Master, and I absolutely adore this fight. The first time I beat it, I was so proud of myself. I was like, yeah, I'm a good gamer now. I'm a good kid. That was the first boss in the Hollow Knight that really made me realize how far I've had come with understanding the game. And that's good. I have very fond memories of the Soul Tyrant, and it feels like you're battling the boss that the Soul Master should have been, or once was, back in history, and had full power and wasn't already infected, The Watcher Knights is gonna be an S tier for me as well. Normally I don't really like fighting two enemies at the same time, but this one really, dodging them both at the same time, is once you get the hang of it, it just feels really good, especially when you have just traveled all the way up to where they at, and you know that your dreamer is this close. I don't know, it feels good. It was definitely one of the more difficult fights in the base game, and I just really like how they're so emotionless but still so murderous, and the rolling is just, it goes all over the place, and I love the Watcher Knights. It's very good. The collector fight, I didn't really like it that much. I think it's gonna go in the C tier for me. I think the lore is amazing. I think it's so fun that he captures all the grubs and it just throws these grub cages at you with enemies in it. I thought it was really easy. I never had struggles with this fight. Never, not even the Pantheons. It's because, it's just like go left and right to kill the enemies and then slap him in the face and then do that all over again. So it's more like a gimmick kind of fight. But lore wise, it gets a higher rating, definitely. The Dung Defender. My boy Dungy. Where are you gonna go? I think high B tier. I love the Dung Defender. I thought it was a bit too easy. The music is amazing. The whole ta-ta, it's very fun, and the fact that he literally throws poo at you is just amazing. And I've had a laugh about this fight so much, but it was too easy. They should have made my boy a bit stronger. The White Defender is definitely going into S tier because of that. Whereas my boy Dungy is a bit, yeah. After the monstrosity that is the Royal Waterways, the Dung Defender is a little bit anticlimactic in terms of difficulty, not in terms of presentation or anything. I wish it held up, the difficulty held up as much as the presentation did, because then the presentation makes it go into B tier, but if it was just difficulty, it would have been a lot lower. It would have been D tier or something. Floodmarm F tier, we're not even going to talk about it. It's boring. It's such a boring fight. Crystal Guardian, D tier. Just shoots lasers at you. I do love that it has a second phase, and that will get low C tier, I guess. It's the same fight, but just faster and double hit points. Yeah, I don't have really much to say about these two. They're fine. They're fine for what they are, but they're not something special. It's more like a harder enemy than a real boss for me. Xeno. Yeah, it's gonna go low, because you literally can cheese it. You can just heal up when it can't hit you, and he just has like these two things that he throws at you, and then it becomes 4 things that he throws at you, and I don't know. It's a bit boring if you ask me. Yeah, that's about it. Marmu, it's going a bit higher. I love to slap this guy like a pinball. I will place it in the B tier. It's just fun, and he makes fun sounds, and it actually, when you don't know what to do, it's just one attack over and over, and people are gonna hate me for putting it this high, but I just loved it. I had a blast killing this man, so let's just keep him in the B tier. Trader Lord, yeah, oof, I love the Trader Lord, kind of. Yeah, I think this is a good place for the Trader Lord. I think lore-wise, it's very good. I think it's a bit cheap to have him like do double damage, but I think I never played it before the update or the DLC came in, and he became stronger after that, because before he was really a pushover, people said. So I don't know, that's why they put double damage on him, but I would love him to be more not double damage, but a bit faster, and had a bit more melee attacks, because he has like 2 melee attacks, I think. Yeah, because the build up to this fight is just very, very insane, So yeah, I think this is good. Lower B tier. Yeah. Gideon. Gideon is one of my least favorite of the Dreamers. It's gonna go high D tier. I don't know. I came across him and I beat him pretty quickly in the Deep Nest, and I remember him just being quite annoying, because the first time you fight him, the thing, you have the idea that the thing just follows you, like his weapon, and after a while you just realize, oh, there's a certain strategy, and it's not that hard to implement, and after that it becomes kind of easy. He's easy to hit though because it's a big hitbox. So Nas is gonna go. Yeah, it's gonna go in a B tier. Not because it's the difficulty is good or something. It's just a very weird fight. But the presentation, the build up to it is so good. Seeing yourself first and then that transforms into this giant spider monster that's not really underwhelming in my opinion. It's a fine fight. The fastness of Nas can catch you off guard, and it's a whole thing. The first time you experience Nosk is actually frightening. So, but in terms of difficulty, in terms of all overall fun I've had with the fight itself, it won't rank that high. But yeah, the presentation that deserves Nosk to get a bit higher, I think. Yeah. So to Mighty, you're gonna go high F tier. I mean, you're F tier because you're not a boss. But you're going into the high F tier because of the fun I've had with slapping your head around. The Great Prince Sode. This fight sucks, but I love it so much at the same time. Because, yeah, I'm gonna go low A tier. I think it's a bit unfair of a fight because, you know, you never know what he's going to do. And his movement is so weird. It's such a weird fight. But I don't know. Once you get the hang of it, it really, like, feels very good to smack the shit out of this Prince Sode. Especially when he's, like, spewing animals and he gets this quick slash his face. Like, oh, I'm getting hits in. Yeah, I love that. I think it's a good... I hate it when he comes on in the Pantheon, so because, you know, he's just fucking he's so scary because you just beaten Markov, and yeah, you know, we all know Markov in the Pantheon, and like then you get him and it's just so like, oh, you're gonna beat my ass. Oblobbles, high D tier. Low C, nah, high D tier. It's not that important to me. No, it's just two balls floating around and shooting infected stuff at you. The God Tamer is a bit better, not that much better, but it has just one or two attacks. But I love that he rolls and he will turn up exactly where you at, and that you have to focus on two things at once that have different attacks. So that's fun. It's so fun, and especially the intensity of this fight is very insane after you've just had to beat the Colosseum of Fools or the Trial of Fools or something, and that's such a hard trial. It takes like 20 minutes or something, and then you have to beat a boss, and you're like, oh my god, so this fight is really tense. But the fight overall isn't that good. I think it's a bit in comparison to the fights that are to come. It seems like I don't like a lot of fights, but there's stuff coming, man. There's stuff coming. Markov is going F tier or nah. I know I hate it. Nah, I think I think it goes with Elder Hugh here because I think it's just unfair. In the Pantheon, at least. In the normal fight is boring. It's just a chase game and dodge game. But in the Pantheon, it's unfair. I think it's a bit flawed in terms of design. He shouldn't exist. Because it's, you know, sometimes the RNG just makes him the most difficult boss, and sometimes he's just over in 2 seconds. And I think RNG is okay to have a role in a boss fight. It makes it more interesting and has a lot of replay value if there's RNG in it. But this has that much RNG that it becomes like a roll of dice. Am I going to beat this fight or not? Or am I going to get completely obliterated just because? Not because I'm bad at the game or that he is very, very challenging. No, it's just because it's just poorly developed, you know, and that's something that I just hate in a game. As in Dark Souls, it happens as well a lot, especially in the second game. And I think that's just remove the boss. You have so many bosses. Just remove this whole boss from the game. Just it's not good, man. Just like LDQ, but he deserves to be on the lowest because he beat me on my first Steel Soul run, but I was pretty far. Yes. The Hornet, the second Hornet fight. Yeah, you can go next to. I think the first one has more. The first one, in my opinion, has more image and more. Yeah, there's more of a build up to it, but I do love that she's there to try to beat you the second time, and it gets more buff, and it's the pacing of the fights just becomes very fast, and I love it. And especially the most powerful of this fight is that the first fight she has the same attacks but slower, and this is really a show and a challenge to you, like how far you've come. Like now you have the same boss fight which you struggled with on the beginning of the game. You have the same boss fight but a lot faster and a lot more attacks and a lot of more strategy that you have to implement that you have learned so far. It really shows, I have just as much difficult with the Hornet normal fight than with the Hornet second fight, And I think that's a really good design, to have a late game boss that feels just as threatening as an early game boss because of how good you have managed to play the game so far. And I think that's I think that's a really good test, because after that you get to the late game. I think after Hornet 2 you get to the end game pretty quickly. Hive Knight, it's a higher B tier for me. It's just a fun paced fight, and I love his sounds that he makes. He can catch you off guard pretty quickly with his speedy jabs. The music is so good. The area he's in is very, very fun. It's very different from the rest of the game, and that's why I love it. Yeah, and especially the Queen sitting in the background watching is cool. Gorp, my man, I hate you, but I also love you. I love you a lot because you're Gorp. I will rate you a bit higher than you have more personality. Gorp. The Broken Vessel is definitely S tier. I think it's the one of the best fights in the game, if not the best. And Lost Kin, I will place next to the. Let's take a look. The False Knights, Field Champion. Yeah, I think it has had like the same impact on me as the Field Champion. But the first time I fought Broken Vessel, man, it's such a good fight. Just another you with the same quest as you, but infected. Swallowed by infection. I don't know. I don't know why I love this fight so much, but the place you fight him in is amazing. And why you fight him is amazing. So both have a very solid reason for being so good. I think I don't want to talk too much about this fight because I think it deserves to be a high S tier because of the personal connection I have with it, and that's just simple, and it's experience of the first experience I've had with the Broken Vessel. Not too easy, not too hard, it's just perfectly balanced in my opinion. The Hollow Knight, I think it was pretty underwhelming, but I will rate it pretty high for what comes after it. And that's the Radiance, and that will be a S tier as well, below the Hornet fights. These two, they complement each other very well, but in its own right, the Hollow Knight is very underwhelming. It's very easy, but the lore behind it, dude, it's so good. The reason, he's bad for a reason. He's a pushover for a reason. He's not that challenging for a reason. And that's why it's ranked pretty high, because the overall, The underwhelmingness of this fight makes this fight think you are not done yet. And you are not done yet. And that's why it's still a high A for me. But the fight itself is weak in terms of fun I've had with playing it. But it's strong in terms of why it's there. You know, why it is what it is. Yeah, I think you get it. Troopmaster Grim, I will put you on a high 8 here. The first time I fought you, I was like, yeah, you're a pretty good fight. I did not know what was gonna haunt me after that. Yeah, this is going. I need another tier. Yeah, I did not think there would be another fight after the Grim Troop. I thought it was the only fight. So that really gives me the feeling of, yeah, it's a good fight on its own. And if the Grim Troop ended there, it was still a solid DLC. But we gotta get God tier in here. Yeah. But after you beat the first Grim, which is a very good fight on its own and a very nice fight, you get the best fight in the game. In my opinion, it's the best fight in the whole game. God, what an amazing fight. Everything about this fight is amazing. The fact that you have to beat the Grim Troop again, and he's just like hanging there like Dracula. Come on, that's so cool. He's just like having a nightmare. And then you enter, and then it comes out of her like a beating heart. And there's the music, the presentation, everything about this fight is so good. You have a checkpoint right out there. You don't need a boss run. You just need this enemy before you, and you need to beat it. Good luck with it. Very well paced, very hard, but it's a late game boss. It's not a mandatory boss, so it can be hard. It's amazing. This is one of the best fights this is the best fight in the game, if not one of the best boss fights I've ever experienced in a video game. God damn, this deserves to be on the top so much. Oh my god, I cannot even stretch how much I love this fight. I'm going to probably get a tattoo of this guy purely because of the experience I've had with this fight the first time around. I have struggled as hell to beat this guy, but it was worth every minute. I think it was the best 5 hours. Maybe it took me 5 hours or something to beat this guy. I'm not the best gamer, so it took me like 5 hours. But every minute of those 5 hours, I have had a smile on my face. I was like, I'm going to get you this time. I'm getting closer and closer. You have like these moments that he puffs up in a ball. And you know, you're like halfway there. Or you're like 75%. And then you die. And then it's like, oh, I was at 75%. This is why Hollow Knight is one of my favorite games. This fight and what it stands for. And it really complements the other fights as well. And why it's so good. Oromato is definitely a high 8 here. I love that you get to pedal them, and lore-wise it's amazing. I think it's very good to fight 2 enemies at the same time that have different movesets, and that you start off with 1 and then you end up fighting 2. It's good. The painter is a bit lower in my opinion because it's a bit easier. And it's the second Pantheon, and it's the first Pantheon. I think they should have switched it, maybe. Although the painter is a fun guy to fight. Or they should have made it a bit more difficult. Because it was a pretty underwhelming fight. Sly is high S. Above the Radiance. I think above the Radiance. I've had a lot of fun trying to master this fight in the God Home. It's fast. It has every attack that Oromato and Shio have. Yeah, Great Nail Sage Sly is definitely high S tier. And yeah, pretty difficult. Damn, I struggled with you. But now I beat him flawlessly because I learned his attacks. And learning his attacks is just enough to really get to beat him. Sisters of Battle. I'm only gonna put you there, but I think the Sisters of Battle is, yeah, it's definitely a high S tier. Yeah, it's the Mantis Lord, but with 3 of them, and it works so well. Wing Nosk. So this is a really disappointing fight. Lower than Vengefly King, just pure because it's so easy and it's Winged Nosk. It should have been Nosk, but cooler. It's so easy. You have healing. You have a lot of healing options. It's just jumping over him and slapping him in the face and just dodging a few things. And it should have been so much more because it's a different Nosk. And Nosk was the normal Nosk. The fight was better in my opinion. Pure Vessel. Yeah. Here. Yeah. The Pure Vessel is going to get a very high S tier. I struggled with this fight the most of every fight so far. The Absolute Radiance I cannot rate yet because I haven't beaten the Absolute Radiance yet. But the Pure Vessel, man, I've struggled more with the Pure Vessel than with Nightmare King Grim. I think it was about the same experience. I think lore-wise it's amazing. I think I'm so happy that we got a fight that was like the harder version of the Hollow Knight, so that the Hollow Knight is, yeah, it's the pure version of the Hollow Knight, the real version, the what he should have been. And I think that's lore-wise, and the whole story behind it is so good. It's so well crafted, and as such I think it's sad that we get to battle it in a God Home though. I really wish it would have been in a White Palace, or it would have been somewhere else, because the God Home feels more like an extra place, and not really a place where the Pure Vessel is hiding. What if or just in a dream of the Hollow Knight, or in a dream of the Pale King or something? I don't know. It was not the best fitting place, but that's the only critique I've got about it. I've been frustrated about this fight so much because it was that hard. It's harder than Nightmare King Grim, in my opinion. And harder to master, especially. But still, it deserved a place. Absolute Radiance I cannot rate. So this is my tier list, guys. This is it. This is it. I won't change a thing. I don't think I want to change anything. No, definitely not. I think this is real. I think I already knew what this tier list was gonna look like on overall experience. I'm so happy that we got the harder fights of bosses that I found a bit underwhelming, or a bit sad that there weren't a bit more of a challenge, and we really got that back with the Dung Defender, or with with the False Knights. He becomes so easy after you beat him. You can do it again, and the Broken Vessel is so good. Yeah, this is my overall favorite, my boss tier list of Hollow Knight. I did it again, 50 minutes. Fuck me, I always have the feeling I don't talk enough about each boss, and then it's fucking 50 minutes later. So, thank you so much for watching. Again, 50 minutes again. I don't care. I hope you have a nice day. If you're still watching, thank you. And I will see you in the next one. Maybe next week, maybe tomorrow. I don't know. I don't care. I do love everyone that's watching. I don't know if anyone's watching, but if you are watching, thank you so much. I hope you love my videos. There will be more than just tier lists, but right now I'm just learning this whole YouTube thing. So I think making a tier list really helps me talk. Helps me talk into the camera. I probably didn't really do that a lot today, but that doesn't matter. But it helps me talk a lot. More fluent in English, because I haven't talked English in a long time, and I already know I am already noticing differences than my first video. So I don't know. That helps me. It helps me to get a better vocabulary and a bit better grammar and pronunciations of things. And also, it helps me just talk into the mic and learn how to presentate myself on the online industry and the online communities. So that's why I'm doing this tier list, not because I just want to get a lot of views in no time because it's popular right now, because I really enjoy making them, and I don't want a large fan base. A small fan base would be the dream, really. But that's just a dream. I don't know if it's ever gonna happen, but I hope so. Thank you guys if you are watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.